everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tell Me About Your Dog. If you're new here, hi, I'm Sam. I'm a CVT here in the sunny state of Florida, a pet insurance advocate and lover of all things senior pets. The goal of this podcast is plain and simple. Tell me all about your dog and what makes him special. This episode does contain frank talk of death, which may be sensitive to some listeners. My guest today is a devoted husband and father to a beautiful little girl. Please welcome Brian to the show. Brian, thank you for coming on. Tell me about your dog. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sam.
What's going on here?
I had shoulder surgery 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I thought there'd be a little bit cooler of a story, but shoulder surgery is good.
No, you would think so, but the reason you have shoulder surgery is because you don't dislocate it cool.
How did you dislocate it the first time?
The first time I was playing football. Stupid, but cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
It was the subsequent times, literally 2 times I was in bed and I rolled over and it fell out of socket.
Okay, so the other 2 times afterwards, it was just not super cool at all.
Yeah, that was why I had shoulder surgery the first 2 times. This was the third.
Okay.
Hopefully the last.
Well, we're going to bet on it's the last time. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Brian. Born and raised in Tampa, Florida. Lived here my whole life. As we're obviously we're here for dogs, love animals in general. I'm a tech recruiter, and as you said, recent father to a beautiful daughter, Emma.
Best little bean.
She is. Thanks for having me.
Love her so much. Well, did you always have dogs growing up? Were dogs always part of your life?
As far back as I can remember, we've had dogs. Yep.
Well, we all know why we're here. Tell me about your dog.
So we're here to talk about Bailey. Bailey was the first dog that I would say was my dog. The reason I even got him was I was in college, and my mom had her dogs. I think she had one at the time, and then my brother had a dog, and I kind of just felt a little bit left out. Everybody had their dog. I didn't have a dog.
You needed your dog.
Yeah, and that's what prompted. I didn't buy Bailey. He was bought for me, but that's kind of what prompted that and that desire. And I got him when he was 8 weeks old, or we were told he was 8 weeks old. We think he might have been a little bit younger, but 8 weeks old.
And what kind of dog was he?
He was a Weimaraner.
Oh, so he was crazy. He was batshit crazy.
From day one till the day he passed, absolutely wild.
Now, there's a little bit of a plot twist to this that I didn't know about until recently. Apparently, there's 2 Baileys. So you want to explain that one?
Yeah. So growing up, when we were, so we moved into our house that I would call my childhood home when I was in 4th grade. And moving into that house, my mom was like adamant we would never have animals in this house. It was her first time owning a house. And she just was like, I want to take care of it. We're never going to get a dog. And my siblings were with their dad the weekend that we happened to be moving into the house, or the weekend that we closed on the house. I don't exactly remember. And we hadn't even moved into the house. And a neighbor, we actually we're moving like 5 or 6 houses down. And a neighbor had a litter of puppies. And my mom brought me over to see the dog, and it was a Weimaraner. It was a puppy. It wasn't 8 weeks. It was probably, 4 or 5 months old, but still very much a puppy. And my mom ended up getting him. We hadn't even moved into the house that she said we would never had dogs in, and we ended up adopting Bailey. And we had him until going into my 8th grade year, I think. And Weimaraners, as you kind of mentioned, are really wild. And we had a second Weimaraner that eventually came along. And between the two, they chewed probably 3 or 4 couches. One of them chewed drywall, countless amounts of shoes.
They were trying to redesign the house for your mom.
Basically.
Their gift to her.
It became so hard for my mom as a single mother to handle 4 children and 2 destructive dogs, and she ended up giving them up.
Both of them.
The first dog's name was Bailey. We didn't name him. He actually came named Bailey, but he was the closest thing to my dog. He was super protective of me, the whole family, but me in particular.
Mhm.
And we just had a really special bond, and that broke me, and broke everybody, honestly. But it was something where I was like, I'll never ever get rid of a dog. Doesn't matter what they do. The problem is mine. We got to figure it out.
Mhm.
Um,
You never wanted to go through that
Never.
again.
So when I got Bailey, I wanted to pay homage to the first Bailey. So I named him
Oh,
after him. Yeah.
I love that. So do you know what happened to the first Bailey? Do you know what home he went to or
My mom knew, and she's told me they went to good homes.
good.
They
Okay.
didn't go together, unfortunately, but they went to, you know, a person that could take care of him and give him the, um, the house that he desired, that he needed, and
That they were
yeah,
free to destroy as they wanted to.
exactly, or get exercise, which is really all they needed.
Of course. So fast forward, your Bailey comes along, little baby Bailey.
Hmm.
What inspired you besides Bailey to get a Weimaraner? Did you just want that breed in particular?
Well, they were Weimaraners, so it just, childhood has a big effect on you, and they were good dogs in my eyes. Obviously, a little bit destructive, but I felt like I lived and learned a little bit. And we'd had other dogs since. I kind of felt like I knew or could handle the the upkeep that a Weimaraner requires. So it was just like my goal to have a Weimaraner.
Yeah, and you knew what you were getting yourself into
Yeah,
because you had him already.
yeah, it wasn't a surprise.
Awesome. Well, Bailey was a great dog for you. You guys did a lot of things together. What life events did Bailey go through with you? Because the answer is everything.
Yeah.
But what are some of those life events
Uh,
or life changes?
he he was there for, I mean, countless relationships, ends of relationships, beginnings of relationships, um, graduating college. I was the first person in my family to even graduate high
Mhm.
school. So graduating college was a big deal, but he was there for that. Um, he was there when I started my first job out of college, when I moved out on my own for the first time. Um, he was there, um, when my father passed away. He was there for, I mean, since I was 21 until I was, what, 30, 34, 33.
Mhm.
He was there
Let's
for a
talk a little
while.
bit about after college. You stayed in the area, you got your
Mhm.
first job. What was that like being on your own, just you and Bailey?
It was tough. It was really tough, especially because he was a Weimaraner and I lived in apartments. And if you don't know this, if you were to adopt a Weimaraner from Weimaraner Rescue, that's one of their requirements is you have to have a
Mhm.
backyard. I couldn't go and adopt a Weimaraner back then if I wanted to do that because of where I lived. So it was tough. And I worked retail. I was a retail manager. I would work sometimes 16 hours,
Wow.
no break, no time
Mhm.
to go home to
Mhm.
Bailey. So I do I feel bad that that's something that he had to endure. But I mean, every time I came home, he was happy to see me, ready to go outside, um, and play ball. I mean, that was his favorite thing. I couldn't say those words without him losing his mind.
The BALL.
He had
Famous
to spell it.
famous word.
Had to spell it.
Well, fast forward a little bit more, you met your now wife, and then
Yeah.
shortly after you all started dating, that's when he started to have some seizures.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about when that first happened and what that experience was like.
Yeah, about 2 months after I met Becca, who is also in animal care, um, Bailey had what I would I don't know if it was a seizure because it was a little bit different from the seizures that he ended up having. But he just was sitting in front of me, and he would get this like panicked kind of anxiety thing. I mean, not frequently, but enough that I recognized when he was kind of freaking out a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and it didn't stop like it normally did. He started shaking uncontrollably, and then he started drooling really bad, and he couldn't keep his balance. He just kept falling over, falling over, falling over. And it was just really scary. And he snapped out of it after. maybe 8 to 10 minutes. Um, and I called Becca and I was like, what's going on? And, you know, she was like, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was, kind of reassuring, but she was like, you definitely want to keep an eye on it if it happens again. And about a month later, it did, except it didn't stop at 8 to 10 minutes. It went on for an hour or 2 hours.
Wow.
And I mean, immediately like called Becca. She had just left. It was like 12:30 at night. Freaked out. I'm like, it's not stopping. And so I took him to an emergency vet. Um, and for the next, I don't what, like I said, hour and a half, I literally laid on a gross vet floor with Bailey just drooling profusely and just kind of convulsing the entire time. And I was freaking out. I had to lift him. He was a 80-pound dog,
Hmm.
into my car and then out of the car and bring him to the vet. And they gave him fluids, and eventually he kind of snapped out of it. They did, ultrasounds, they checked everything, and they said what they thought was, he had some sort of a stroke or some sort of an elongated seizure.
Hmm.
They couldn't tell exactly, but basically for me to follow up with my vet, which I did, and we got him on anti-seizure meds. But someone like yourself, people who don't know, once they're on those medicines, they don't come off.
Hmm.
That's for life.
Yep.
Um, so it just became a management thing at that point.
Hmm.
Um, and then he started having like regular seizures. I guess I think they would be considered with grand mal
Grandma.
seizures.
Hmm.
And those are a little bit different than what originally happened. Um, those are very violent
Hmm.
convulsions and him kicking and drooling and almost always peeing.
Hmm.
But those would only last about 2 minutes, maybe give or take. And then they'd be characterized by him just absolutely freaking out because he's kind of disoriented, running
Hmm.
around the house, whimpering, not because he's hurt, but just like kind of confused.
Yeah.
Um, and then like insatiable hunger and thirst. Things that I had looked up at the time was it's like running a marathon in those 2 minutes. They burn an incredible amount of calories, and it becomes famished
Hmm.
basically and dehydrated.
Yeah. I'm sure that must have been tough to see.
Yeah, they were never, the first one and then the last one were just as hard.
Hmm.
Even though you become a little bit more attuned to them, it's hard to see your dog go through that.
Of course. Well, having a seizure dog comes with its own set of challenges. You never know how severe they'll be, how long they'll last. Are they going to come out of it okay? Are they going to be disoriented? And like you said earlier, the medication schedule, it's a very strict schedule. You have to stick to it. You have to be consistent on the time you're giving it. It's not like other conditions where you have some flexibility. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced or the lifestyle changes you had to make sure that his medicine schedule was taken care of?
Yeah, like you said, it's a set schedule. So there was no more like just, you know, l- leave him in like I'm glad that I had switched professions. There's no way I would have been able to do that because I would have had to leave. I would have had to figure out a way to get home because he required his medicine. I
Mhm.
was thankfully in a job that let me work remote.
Yeah.
Um,
Retail, that would have been as easy as an option.
would it wouldn't it would not have been impossible. It would have been impossible. I would have had to find other means,
Hmm. Or you would have had to sponsor him as your
right?
employee dog.
Emotional support, yeah.
Exactly.
Um, but it was tough. But even like coming down to like vacations and stuff, and especially the later it got and the closer to the end it got, it was like, what are we gonna do? Like, I I mean, it affects me, but I guess I'm equipped to
Hmm.
handle his seizures. Other people, not so much.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a burden that you don't really want to put on anybody else. So it just became hard to go anywhere.
Hmm.
You could go from, I was like, I'll go for a night or two. But as his seizures, like, they became like it was like every 2 months or every 3 months, and then it was like every 2 months, then it was every 6 weeks, and it was like almost like to the day. And as I got closer to those timings, I'd be like, well, I'm not going anywhere this week because he's most likely going to have a
Hmm.
seizure.
You already knew in your head,
I had
this
a
is about the time.
you typically keep a seizure journal, and I had that, and
Mhm.
it would be, I mean, it was pretty cyclical, pretty like you could tell within like a 3-day period when he would have one.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point earlier when you said you would never rehome a dog, you would never get rid of a dog again, that when you get a dog, it's your responsibility and you will find a way to make it happen. And you are the poster child for saying, I will make sure whatever he needs, he gets, and it is my responsibility to take care of. And that is so admirable as a pet owner because we definitely do not have pet owners quite as compliant as that
It,
24/7.
yeah, he didn't ask for any of that, so I feel like it would be unfair for me because he was as attached to him as I was. He was attached to me.
Mhm. Yeah, you guys were partners in crime together.
We really
Look at
were.
everything you went through.
I mean,
How could you not be attached to each other at that point?
yeah, he exactly.
How did you come to the conclusion that his condition was getting worse and that it was time to consider his quality of life?
Um, so with the medicines he was taking, um, it has an effect on their brain. So do seizures. Um, but when he was having seizures every 2-3 months, his in between times were largely normal,
Mhm. Like good quality of life.
good quality of life. Still wanted to go on walks, still wanted to play ball, and most vets will talk to you about it, but when you're assessing quality of life, there's a couple of different factors. Food and water, if they're eating, um, if they're still doing their favorite things and they still have the same, demeanor, or a couple of things that you look for. He had all of those.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't
and
remember Bailey ever turning down a snack or dinner time.
and slowly, um, those things started to change. His demeanor, um, and playing ball. He wanted to play ball, but he couldn't, and he was slowly losing his eyesight, um, and just, you know,
Did you start to see how it was making him upset to not be able to do the things he wanted to do and how it was stopping him?
I don't know if I ever noticed it would upset him more than it upset me. Um, just going out to to play ball, and he couldn't find it was just tough to see.
Yeah.
Um, his was just the he became basically lethargic. He would just lay down all day long,
Hmm.
in between his medicines, because basically my schedule with him was if he would have a seizure for a few days, we would up his dose,
Hmm.
and then we would wean him back down.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that, so he stayed at those higher doses, which was the consequence was he'd just sit there and drool
Hmm.
all day long.
He almost had that out of it
He
mindset.
was he was 100% out of it, and he would get anxious, um,
And that
and
makes it hard to leave him.
and he needed to like help to get like
Hmm.
he was a furniture dog, so he would not handle sitting on the floor. He became just fine with sitting on the floor. And that was a big thing for me is like, he's never done this in his 14 years of life. There's something.
Hmm.
He doesn't care or he can't get up. He's just like, this is fine. I'm not going to worry about it. And it was just kind of tough to watch that.
So sad to see.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry you guys had to make that decision.
it was tough.
Well, I do have one more question that I want to ask. Bailey passed away just before Emma was born. How do you think their bond would have been like if Bailey was still here?
Well, we have Becca's dog, Bolt, and she loves Bolt. Um, I don't know if he definitely loves her. He definitely doesn't love her being near him because she's not quite grasping the pet. She's still grabbing. But I can see their bond, and I know that that would have been the same for Bailey because he loved kids in general. Um, and he loved me, so I I know it would have been great. We have a picture in the house, and Emma's gone up to it and like, looked at it and like been like, ah,
Oh,
ah. So I
you tell her that's Bailey.
yeah, I wish she would have got to meet him.
I'm so sorry that Bailey didn't get to meet Emma before she was born. But I know Bailey was as strong as he could be for as long as he could be because he wanted to be by your side. And he got you through so much. And I'm sure he didn't leave this earth confident knowing you got this. You got your team at home with you. Well, Brian, thank you so much for honoring Bailey and sharing his story. And it's been great to hear all the things you two have been through together and how he's been part of your life for so long. And now you're in this new chapter of fatherhood, but you still have so much of Bailey's memory around you. And that's not going anywhere.
Nope, actually, real quick. So we just moved into a new
Mm-hmm.
house, and I have my dad's old recliner, and that was Bailey's chair because I work from home, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, and
And he
so
was a furniture dog.
every day that I worked, Bailey would get in the recliner. And one of the other things we didn't really talk about is, as he got older, he stopped being able to hold his bladder, or not his bladder, his shit.
His bowels.
Yeah. And as gross as that is, that's just what happens with elderly dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And
And people.
this is
it's cuter with dogs.
it's way cuter with dogs, but still not great. We were moving the recliner because um for those who don't know, with shoulder surgeries, it's just harder to sit in a bed. So we were moving the recliner upstairs so I'd have somewhere to sit.
Mm-hmm.
We took it apart and we were carrying it upstairs, and there was a hardened piece of crap that had fallen like way in. It wasn't on the top. The chair's been cleaned multiple times, but it had fallen out, and it was definitely from Bailey. And me and Becca were just joking that he was he was not going to let us move into a new house without joining us and letting us know that he was still there.
It's his little reminder that he's still with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for sharing Bailey's story. It's been an absolute honor, and thank you for honoring his memory. He was a great dog. He really was one of the best dogs I've ever met.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that is all for today's episode. Please be sure to follow the show on Spotify, YouTube, and follow Tell Me About Your Dog podcast on Instagram, where I would love to hear your dog stories. I'll see you next time.